So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Hey, Disruption Network. This is Mike Sacco, the general manager at Nye Volkswagen of Rome. If you don't know me by name, it's only because you have not received the best deal. There's only one reason to leave Utica, and that's to come see me in Rome and get the best deal on your next new, pre-owned, or certified VW. Mention that you heard this ad from Disruption Network and receive $250 off your next vehicle purchase. You'll know why our customers say, I love my Nye VW. Come see us at 5865 Rome Taberg Road in Rome, or visit us online at nyvwofrome.com.
Join us Saturday, October 13th as Disruption Network and Doughboy Barbecue presents Trip Fest 2 at the Jewish Community Center, 2310 Oneida Street in Utica. A night to pay homage to Vinny, Captain Trip Moriel. Utica icon, yo! Come pick through all Captain Trip's personal treasures, local artist display, food from Doughboy Barbecue, beer, wine, and live music. Bands include, after a 24-year hiatus, the return of Torrance, Kate Devin, The Crazy Fools, Thunderwatt, and a 315 All-Star tribute to the Grateful Dead. Tickets are $10 in advance and $15 at the door. Partial proceeds to benefit Laney's Army. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Taurus kicks it all off at 6:30. It's Trip Fest 2, Saturday, October 13th. Trip Fest 2 is sponsored by Nye Volkswagen of Rome, 92.7 FM The Drive, Priceless Inspection, Donato Appraisal Services, Dr. Scott Domenico, and Saranac Brewery.
The Property Sisters of the Mohawk Valley was born when three top producing agents with over 25 years of combined experience selling real estate joined forces to take real estate to the next level. We practice with honesty, integrity, and the knowledge to help make the buying and selling process easy and stress-free for all of our clients. We pledge to always make our clients our top priority from start to finish and even after the house is closed. We will always be a valued resource for information and assistance for our buyers and sellers. Our customers over the years have become not only past clients, but great friends. As we join hands together as the Property Sisters of the Mohawk Valley, we look forward to serving our clients and our community and making a positive difference. You can reach us at 315-601-9630 for all of your real estate needs.
The following is a presentation of Disruption Networks.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the baseline. Play ball!
Good evening out there, everybody. Wednesday night, the Baseline, Disruption Network.
What's up, everybody?
JP,
October 3rd.
SPG.
October 3rd. It is October, which means playoff baseball, and we've had some awesome playoff baseball already. And tonight,
one game in.
We are, as Yankees fans, of course, and I'm sure Oakland A's fans are extremely excited, and baseball fans everywhere, for the New York Yankees versus the Oakland A's in the one-game do-or-die wild card game in just over an hour, I believe about an hour and a half or so from now. First pitch from the Bronx.
Wow, well, since you put it like that.
October 3rd, playoff baseball.
Playoffs?
And you know what else October is? I do want to mention is October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And here at the D, we are raising money. Real Men Wear Pink. Check out the Facebook page, the website. Check out social media, all of our points of contact for information on how you can help support the cause for Real Men Wear Pink.
Yeah, text in, call in, give a donation. We're trying to get to a goal.
Yeah, there's info on the Facebook page, so check that out, please. And we would be very happy and much appreciative.
Offsite statistician Dave checking in with a Let's Go Oakland Thanks, Dave. Thanks for being a loyal listener. Dave, you've literally tuned into every single show, and last time, last show was the only show I ever saw you get mad. The only one. So
Dave,
I
go,
guess we're
go Indians. I'm going to be better than that. Go Indians.
And you're going to say why go Indians in a little while when we get to that. So
yes, I will.
We're going to go over some interesting stuff. Stick around. We're going to do a quick one here. We're going to be in and out, but
yeah, we got to make sure we catch the game tonight. Of course,
I got to get the kiddos to bed.
So wild card game tonight. And speaking of the wild card, on this date in baseball history, JP, on October 3rd, 1995, 23 years ago, the Yankees and the Colorado Rockies became the first ever wild card teams, the first ever teams to make the MLB postseason.
And we have come
without winning their division.
Completely full circle.
We have. So
because the Colorado Rockies and the New York Yankees are the
Rockies played in a wild card game yesterday.
The Rockies are technically now the wild card. The Yankees have yet to be seen what happens tonight. But isn't that amazing that it was the Yankees and the Rockies all them years ago?
It is, yeah. It's pretty cool. And that game last night was, wow, I was exhausted this morning. I stayed up and watched the entire thing. I didn't expect to, but once it got to the 8th inning and the Cubbies tied it up.
Oh, you mean after the bro hug?
Yeah. There was bro hugging. There was cramping. There was nobody left on the bench. There was some great pitching. Kyle Freeland, props to that kid for what he did, not just last night, but
all season.
All season long.
Officially the lowest ERA for a qualifying starter in Rockies history. I believe he finished somewhere around the 2.82 mark. Somewhere, I don't have his stats in front of me, but he was around the 2.8 mark. Good for Kyle Freeland, and he showed some resolve yesterday.
Yeah, he really did.
Tough place to go and pitch.
Yeah, and they had they played a game in Colorado on Sunday. They flew to LA for the tiebreaker for the NL West Division title on Monday, and then they flew to Chicago for a wild card playoff game on Tuesday. And they played extra innings.
Now are they going to Milwaukee?
I got to look and see what how the NL shakes out, but I believe so. I believe that is the case.
So they're going to be in another city.
Milwaukee, with their own tiebreaker game on Monday, ended up winning the division and finished with the best record in the National
How about the Brew Crew?
As a result, the Brew Crew and Christian Yelich. Wow, I mean, what can you say? He had a season for the ages, really, just so close to the Triple Crown. And he did have an extra game that gave him a shot at it. He ended up finishing 2 home runs and just 1 RBI short of being a Triple Crown winner. Almost kind of under the radar, too, because he was hurt and he had a good first half, but nothing compared to what he did in the second half. It was historic. And to come that close to a Triple Crown, to me, he's an obvious favorite for the MVP award. We'll save the award talk for a little later on. During our 7th inning stretch tonight, we are going to be presenting our baseline award winners for the year. We're going to be going over some predictions we had at the beginning of the season.
And we're going to be calling ourselves out on some really awful
See, we're not just relying on Dave tonight to call us out. We will be calling ourselves out on some things, and maybe tooting our own horn on some other predictions.
Our in-house research team went really in depth into our shows, into the annals of baseline history, and got our predictions for NL and AL MVP, Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year, each division race, where we thought everyone would finish, AL and NL representatives in the World Series, and over-unders. We did some over-unders earlier in the year, and we hit on a few, and we whiffed on a few, but Vegas got hurt on a few. So
some things that happened this year were completely unexpected. We'll put it that way, and
we're gonna get to that.
And those, I'm glad that happens, because I love seeing surprise stories and unsung heroes and things that nobody saw coming. It gives you something to talk about, and it gives you something to keep you engaged and interested in things, because if you had the same teams and same players winning it all the time, it'd be boring. And to have some surprise teams that just come out and shock you, and some surprise players that make everybody excited. It's very cool.
So speaking of not being boring and keeping you engaged, I think you and I both kind of agree or are close to being in agreement that maybe the coolest stat in the history of the game ended up coming to fruition this weekend.
Oh, yes. Well, there's two players to talk about with the same name. There's K-Riss Davis.
Oh, I forgot about the C-Riss.
We have to talk about K-Riss Davis and C-Riss Davis, both at the opposite ends of the spectrum, I guess, and what you would say for having a successful season. But K-Riss Davis, Oakland A's outfielder Chris Davis, came down to the last game of the season, but he finished for the fourth consecutive season with a 247 batting average. 4 years in a row with a 247
So
batting
I'm going to give you some credit. And it's not like, just looking through Baseball Reference, you couldn't notice that he did it 3 years in a row, right? But earlier in the season, on one of our shows, you happened to kind of go in on that about how you thought doing it 3 years in a row was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And the year prior, he hit 244. So basically, we were talking about in one of these shows, we were talking about you kind of know what Chris Davis is going to give you every year because that's what he's given you every single year.
He's going to give you 247 average and 40-plus home runs.
So you happen to already mention that he did it 3 years in a row. To hit 247, qualifying too, 600 at-bats every year, 440 the first year that he did it. But we're talking about a lot of at-bats. We're not talking about a small sample size. 247, 247, 247, 247. And then the 3 years that he's been with Oakland, 247, 42, and 102, 247, 43, and 110, 247, 48, and 123. He's going to give you around 50 or 60 walks a year, and he's going to strike out a bunch. But you want to know what? He's uber productive.
Yeah, he strikes out a lot, but he is a dangerous hitter.
You are very accurate in your verbiage,
and
Mike.
somebody that I am not excited about seeing hitting against the New York Yankees.
I'm not tonight. We've talked about, I've praised Luis Severino on this show, and I've kind of knocked Luis Severino on this show, and we've looked into his foibles, if you will. And I told you that I noticed that he pitches the one quadrant of the plate. He likes to use that four-seam fastball that doesn't have a whole lot of movement. He thinks 98 up in the zone is great if you can establish low away, low inside with that curveball, that slider. He lost that in the second half of the season. That's not the kind of guy that I want to see up at the plate if my guy can't find the strike zone, because one miss and Chris Davis is going to hit it to Yonkers. So I have the same apprehension as you do with that. But speaking of the Chris Davises, what about C-Riss Davis?
So C-Riss Davis had, I guess you would say, the worst season in baseball history as a hitter. Among qualifying hitters, at least for batting average, he batted 168 this season, which is the lowest recorded batting average, I believe, in baseball history, if not the modern era of baseball for sure.
Brutal. And they got him for another 5 years on that deal?
And he finished the season with a minus 2.8 WAR.
Minus 2.8. That's worse than Johnny Field.
And he played on one of the worst teams in baseball history as well. Not the worst, but one of the worst for sure. So, yeah, Chris Davis.
The Orioles already know where they are. I don't even need to play any booze for them. They already know they're
You're out of the baseline.
Yeah, they're gone. They won't even hear
47 wins.
And speaking of gone, Buck Showalter.
Diaz had 14 more saves than they had wins.
Buck Showalter fired today.
Yeah, the Orioles.
You're out!
That's what they told the Buck. You're out of here.
And I've always liked Buck Showalter, but wow, how can you not fire somebody after they? You have
as
to
tradition
pretty much
states
start over.
Doesn't that mean that the Baltimore Orioles make the World Series next year? Isn't that what's supposed to happen?
Now, if that happens, I will really believe in that Buck Showalter leaving a team thing.
Yeah.
If the Baltimore Orioles win the World Series next year, I don't know.
They mishandled.
I don't know what to
They
say.
mishandled opportunities. I'll tell you what. In researching our over-unders and our predictions today, and listen back to some old shows, we were nail on the head in March about Manny Machado needing to be moved then. They botched everything at every turn and won 47 games, finished 61 games out, correct? I mean, come on.
Yeah, 61, I believe, yeah.
Come on. Yeah, awful. So, I mean, Buck obviously had to go, and good for Buck, too. I hope he goes and gets a nice, cushy front office position somewhere. Player development, handle the minor leagues, assistant general manager, something where he doesn't need to be on field because he usually takes over messes. And up until the Orioles, he usually turned them around and got them to where they were near contention, a la New York Yankees dynasty, a la Arizona Diamondbacks. Texas Rangers went to the World Series the year after, I think the year after, 2 years after with Ron Washington. So Buck's done it before, but it wasn't happening anytime soon in Oriole land. Sorry to say.
No, they won't be
your most significant
anywhere near good for many years.
Your most significant free agent signing in the last 2 seasons was Alex Cobb at the deadline this year, coming out of spring training to an inexplicable 6-year contract. Inexplicable. You couldn't even move him if you wanted to. And then to top it all off, he had a horrendous year. Horrendous. But a 6-year contract, how's that looking to you, Baltimore? They've mishandled everything, especially for a team with 115 losses. You know, the last team we saw in that position was the Houston Astros, maybe 115 losses. They did it for a couple years straight, 110 losses for the Astros. Did it for a few years straight. But they had a plan. They had this engine working down there in the minor leagues. And they introduced all of these top-rate players all at once and won a World Series. The Orioles had an opportunity to do that. Like the Cubs, like the Yankees, like the Padres will be doing, like the White Sox will be doing, the Braves are currently doing. The Orioles had an opportunity to do that, and they failed. So, sayonara, Buck.
You're out!
Sorry, buddy. On to better things.
On to better things.
Because it doesn't get much worse than the Baltimore Orioles. A couple other quick notes. I mentioned Buck. We talked about Buck getting let go. Paul Molitor in Minnesota was also let go.
Joe Mauer, I'm telling you.
And what a cool moment for Joe Mauer.
Awesome.
What an awesome moment that was for Joe Mauer. And the best part about it was, I forget which relief pitcher came in, but he stood in the bullpen, and he stood there for several minutes, and nobody else went on the field. Mauer came out with his catcher's gear on. I think the first game he's caught.
2013, I think it was.
5 years. And he comes out there kind of half expecting the team to come running out on the field and taking their spots, and the pitcher to be coming in from the bullpen, and they all just stayed where they were, and they just let Joe Mauer just kind of stand out on the field for most likely the final time. I knew Joe Mauer's time was coming soon, but I wasn't so positive it was going to be after this season ended until I saw that scene, and I don't think you would have saw that if there was any chance of him coming back. But like you said, who knows? Molitor's gone. I would be very surprised if they considered him as a manager, but we've seen Aaron Boone and Alex Cora and some of these other guys.
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
That you didn't expect to get hired.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if, listen, we called it. That's another thing from today. I was back listening. We called it way back the first show. I said Joe Mauer is the next. We were doing our rankings of top managers in the game. I think it was our second show, our second 7th inning stretch. And we were talking about the top managers and who we thought were the best managers. And I had Molitor ranked 7th. He had a great year last year. He's a Hall of Famer, right? He was a Minnesota guy. I thought he was going to be not such a quick hook there. And I said Joe Mauer would be involved in the organization somehow and then eventually be the next manager of the Minnesota Twins. I don't know if that'll happen right out of the gate,
Yeah.
But I'll bet you it'll get some consideration because he is Mr. Minnesota, after all.
I mean, you look at Carlos Beltran interviewing for the Yankees managerial spot after last season, and you really got to wonder if he could be a legitimate candidate, and that will be one of the more interesting stories to follow after the season is over when these teams are filling their managerial vacancies. A couple other manager notes. Jeff Bannister was let go. I think that was a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Mike Scioscia officially stepped down. That's something we saw coming from a long time ago.
He was tearful. Sorry, Scioscia. Not sad to see you go. Because
and a manager that was let go last year, Joe Girardi, interviewed for the Cincinnati Reds managerial post.
Now that's interesting.
So it should be.
That's interesting.
It should be very interesting.
Lots of good youngsters on the way, some veteran presence. It sounds like something familiar for Joe Girardi right there.
It should be very interesting to see what happens, not only with that one and Girardi, but some of these other openings and where some of these guys that were just let go might resurface. Whether that's another job in baseball or whether that's in media or what. It should be kind of cool to follow that. But we have baseball still to go this season. And we made a whole bunch of predictions at the beginning of the year, not just awards. We'll get to that later, but we kind of did some over-under stuff. And some of those we were spot on, and some of those not so much. So that's going to be our rundown this week, is we're going to kind of do a recap of some of the more interesting predictions for better or worse from one of our earliest shows. And we'll see how good and how bad we did with some of them. But before we get into that, I want to mention a couple things that we have coming up here at the D. We mentioned Real Men Wear Pink. We also have Trip Fest 2 coming up Saturday, October 13th. And that's a tribute to the late, great, legendary Captain Tripp. And they did it last year. It went very well. It was a good event, and here we are, the bigger and better year 2. Great music. Taurus is playing for the first time in many, many years. Reunion show. I'm playing with my band, The Crazy Fools. We've got Thunderwatt, and then we've got the 315s, which is a tribute to the Grateful Dead. Just plain dead. Some CNY All-Stars putting together a performance. And I've been talking to Chris Pauly. Chris Pauly's he's in our fantasy baseball league, a good friend of ours. And Chris is going to be playing down there, too. He's going to be playing with the 315s, doing the Dead music. And who knows, maybe you'll see me hop up there and do a little something with those guys, too. So Trip Fest on October 13th. That's at the Jewish Community Center, the JCC, on Oneida Street, 2310 Oneida Street. Tickets are $10 in advance, just $10 in advance for all the music and all the food. Doughboy Barbecue is going to be there. It's going to be a good time, man. I'm looking forward to that. In that same day, it's going to be an extremely busy day for me. That same day in the morning, I have another event that is very near and dear to my heart. It's a memorial walk for my cousin, Connor. ConnorsWay.com is where you can get all the information about that. Check out Connor's Way on Facebook as well to get registration information for the walk. It's a walk around some gorgeous wooded trails around Hinkley Lake, and that's going to be fun, and we're going to be playing some music up at that too. The walk kicks off at 10 o'clock, and please do, I believe it's ConnorsWay.com and Connor's Way on Facebook. Please do check that out, and we would very much appreciate your support. So, yeah, busy, man. We got lots of great events for great causes, and I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have a good time at all. Everything I mentioned, all of the above is going to be a good time.
Robert Suprenit checking in. The Yankees got this. Hoping so, Robert. Hoping so. Thanks for tuning in. Cyrus Davis is way out of the baseline, says Dave. Yeah, I
fair enough. Yeah, the whole team is, but especially him.
I think so, Dave. I think you're right.
Out of the baseline.
Yeah, he's right. So let's get into our rundown here. This week on the rundown, like SPG said, we are going to go down. I'm going to give you what we said earlier in the season, and we're going to basically compare and contrast to what actually happened. What do you want to do first? The Vegas odds?
Yeah, let's go through that. The over-under numbers.
The over-unders that we didn't do all of them. All right, but we did a whole big handful here, and most of the contenders that are in, we reviewed here. So let's just start off at the top of the list of what I got written down. The Vegas line for the Arizona Diamondbacks was 85.5. 85.5. Both SPG and I went over, and for consolation purposes, we both said 88. The actual was 82, so we were wrong there. Wrong.
82.
Reich!
The Atlanta Braves, we were wrong on this one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll happily Braves. Admit I was wrong on that one.
74.5. You went under that. I went over that with 77. But we weren't just doing numbers. That's, like I said, just some of the numbers that we kind of rattled off. But I went over, you went under. It was over. It was 90. 90. So
great season.
Neither one of us predicted that from happening.
A young team that took a step in the right direction, and that's understating it.
You surprisingly went
thought.
Over on this next team. 73 wins. You went over. I went under for the Baltimore Orioles. And as we know, it was severely under with 47 wins for the Baltimore Orioles. The Boston Red Sox was my lock. That was the one that I said was a lock at over 91.5. You also went over. 108 wins for the Boston Red Sox. So we were both right, and that was a lock. If you had that one in Vegas, that was a good one. We both went over on the next one. They were the odds favorite coming into the season. The repeat champion, or the defending champions, Houston Astros, at 96.5 wins in Vegas. We both went over. You happened to say 98. I said 102. It was 103 for the Houston Astros. The Chicago Cubs, 94.5 in Vegas. I went over, you went under. You happened to say 93, and I went over. And they won 95, so a half a game over Vegas for the Chicago Cubs. The New York Yankees, we both went over 94.5 was the Vegas line. 100 wins for the New York Yankees.
100 even.
Cleveland was your easy over.
Yeah.
It was your lock.
That's what I said that day. I said Cleveland was my easy over on the over-under. They were my lead.
94.5 for Cleveland. I went over, you went over, but that was your easy over. You gave them 98. 91 wins for the Cleveland Indians.
That bullpen, Dave.
91 wins. But cruise control. They won their division. And they are not playing in a one-game do-or-die game tonight, so he has a leg to stand on here. They did win their division. The Miami Marlins, 64.5 in Vegas. And we both went under.
That was a close one.
63 wins. And they played okay this year in spurts. They kind of kept it together more so than a 47-win Baltimore Oriole team. And if you look at the composition of those two rosters coming out of spring training, you look at the composition of the rosters of the Miami Marlins versus the Baltimore Orioles. You tell me what team was going to win 47 and what team was going to win 63. And I'll guarantee you had it the other way around. Just like we would have. But sure enough, 47 wins for the Baltimore Orioles. Who else did we do? The Cincinnati Reds, I was very, very adamant that they would be over 73.5 wins. They won 67 games. You had the under. So you were spot on. The White Sox won 62 games this year. Vegas had them at 68. I went over, you went over. Way easy under, to quote you, and easy under, to quote me. Way easy under. You know who I'm talking about with the way easy under?
I do, yeah. And I thought that this team was going to be the worst team in baseball. I thought they were going to be worse than the Miami Marlins. I thought they were going to be worse than the Baltimore Orioles. And boy, was I wrong on this team, and that would be the Tampa Bay Rays.
You're right, and we were wrong.
We were wrong.
So I believe in the transcripts of the show, I said easy under, and you go way easy under. 77 wins in Vegas. They had 90.
We were
Kevin
wrong on that one.
Cash. Kevin Cash. That's the guy.
Blake Snell, too.
Again, another guy going to win an award. The White Sox. We just did the White Sox. I'm sorry. The Dodgers, 96.5. They were tied as favorites. 96.5. We both went over. They went under. 92 wins for the Dodgers. The Mets, so Metty. So Metty. The Mets are Metty. 81 wins in Vegas. And we both took the over. They were under. But surprisingly close to 81 wins for as bad of a season as they had.
77 wins.
77 wins.
Which, when we were talking about this a little bit before we went on the air, you mentioned the Mets had 77 wins, and that surprised the heck out of me with the season that they had. But then again, they did start 10 games above 500 at one point in April. But, 77 wins, not a good season for the Mets by any I don't know, adjective, whatever you want to say. I'm trying to be kind. I'm trying to think of something positive to say about the Mets, but it's very difficult. Not a good season. But when I heard 77 wins, I was a little surprised.
Hey, they hung in there, I guess. The Fightin' Phils, speaking of hanging in there, 75.5 wins in Vegas. 80 wins in real life. You went over, I went over. We were both right. The Twins. 82.5 wins in Vegas. You went over, and you happened to say that it was going to be 85. You said they weren't going to have a repeat of last year. You lowballed it. 82.5 wins in Vegas. You went over, I went under. They were under at 78. And the last one that
they did win 6 in a row to end the season, too. So at one point, they were sitting at 72 wins going into the final week of the season. So, 78 wins might look nice on the final stat line here, or the final standings, but it was a pretty miserable year for Minnesota for sure.
The last one that we reviewed, the Seattle Mariners. 81.5 in Vegas. You went over, and you said over slightly with 82. And I said over with 86. And it was 89 wins for a pretty decent team. They had an okay season this year.
Yeah, Robinson Cano controversy mixed in there.
So that's it. Those are our Vegas odds.
So that's how we did.
That's how we
nailed some, and we're way off on a few of the others.
We were way off on
just a bit outside on a few of those.
Just a bit outside.
Strike!
So over to our predictions. Our predictions were a little bit better than the over-unders. I'll just say that. We'll do AL or NL?
Do AL.
All right. In the AL, the actual order, in the AL East, Red Sox, Yankees, Rays, Blue Jays, Orioles. SPG, you had the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, the Orioles, the Rays. And I had the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Jays, the Orioles, and the Rays. So we both swung and missed on the Rays there. The AL Central, I think that we both may have nailed this. We did. We nailed this. We both had the same: Cleveland, Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit, Kansas City. Cleveland, Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago, Kansas City. Good job on that one. That's a good one right there. AL West.
Big swing and a miss in this division as well.
Yeah, just a touch. Just a touch. We both had the Astros at the top. I had Seattle. You had LA. I had Texas in third place in the division. You had Seattle third place in the division,
which they were third place, just not the second place team was definitely not who we had expected it would be.
No, not at all. We both had Oakland last. Not cool.
No, all the respect in the world to what that team accomplished.
Absolutely. We were both very low on them.
Phenomenal bullpen manager and lineup and some good pitching too. Going with a bullpen game tonight, I believe. The Oakland A's against the Yankees.
Crazy. The opener has spread, my friend. It has spread. As we knew it would. We called it. But now into a playoff game, they're going with a bullpen game. It's crazy.
Somebody's going with a bullpen game in the ALDS too. I forget who it was. If it was Milwaukee, I want to say is going to be doing a bullpen game for game 1. I could be wrong on the team, but I did see somebody was doing it very quickly before we went on the air here. So yeah, the opener kind of caught on, I guess.
A little bit.
More
people are realizing that they can get
tip of the cap to Tampa. Kevin Cash on that.
Kevin Cash. We're going to get to a 7th inning stretch. Our 7th inning stretch this week, and we're going to get to it pretty soon here. We're going to just give out our awards. We're going to give out our postseason awards, right? Isn't that what we're doing?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And we're not going to elaborate too much on it.
No,
we're going to kind of go through and give our lists, maybe a little bit of stats, but nothing too crazy. We'll also reference what our preseason picks were too as we go through the awards in the 7th inning stretch. We'll do that then. And some of those we were way off too.
Yeah,
some of them we were pretty close though.
It's all right.
We'll
figure it out. It does. It does. You're right. It happens. And so that just brings me to one thing. Last night, the unhappy Hap, Ian Happ, pinch hit in the 7th inning for John Lester, and he walked. And then the Cubs lost, so Ian Happ was unhappy. J Happ passed over for this Oakland start here. Probably going to start the first game against Boston, so you get him twice against Boston should they make it that far. So he's moving on. I mean, he's sitting on the bench tonight, but is it a playoff game? Maybe he's not sitting on the bench. If they got to go all hands on deck, he might be getting in, but he's in a playoff game, and Ian Happ, he's on his way home.
Yeah, you saw it last night, too. Cole Hamels coming in extra innings and going multiple innings. And man, I mentioned this to you. I think I sent you a message about it last night, even during the game. Yep. But Terrence Gore last night coming in and pinch running for Anthony Rizzo.
My boy Mile, he's watching right now. I'm listening to you, but pretty funny that we're doing this right now. What's up, Mile?
Terrence Gore comes around to score the tying run after stealing second base and scoring on a single. It was like watching Dave Roberts on the Red Sox in 2004 all over again. It brought me right back to that moment.
He texted me.
And ironically enough, one of his at-bats later in the game ended up being one of the reasons why they ended up losing the game. But yeah, that was crazy, and tonight should be interesting as well.
So you know what that is? That's the Haps on the Haps.
That's the Haps.
What's the Haps on the Haps? The Haps.
I don't know if Miles stuck around to see it, but big ups to Mile Walker from Ease Beats and Bizz, one of our shows here on Disruption Network. If you want to check out anything on Disruption Network, go to disruptionnetwork.net. We got Home Free with Adeline Van Dyke, Ease Beats and Bizz with our boys, DJ Ease One, Mile Walker, M-Dub, and Jacoby, DJ Business.
We got the D-Line tomorrow, 6 o'clock. I am actually going to be a guest tomorrow on the D-Line.
Nice.
I'm going to be sitting in with those guys. I sat in with those guys a number of times. A number of times last year, and it's always a fun time. So we're going to be talking some football here on the D tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Looking forward to it. And quick note too on Adeline's show from the other night is they had EJ Movers on, right?
Yeah.
And Jay Sumner was on too, and I was watching that, and that was a good episode. And props to them. It sounds like they provide an awesome service.
Yeah, EJA Moving Company.
EJA Moving Company.
Professional movers. If you want to get a hold of them, be 315-335-0516. They are competitively priced. Moving, relocation services, office moves, complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everyone. They make it simple for you to move or relocate. Check them out at ejamoving.com. That's ejamoving.com.
They move college kids out of their dorms into storage units and then move them back in the fall. And go back and check out that episode of Home Free from Monday, October 1st, to check out the whole segment they did and talked about all their services and everything they do. So for sure, man. And like you said, all the great content here, Wrestle Fandom Radio, EC Radio, every Monday through Thursday, 3 o'clock.
EBB, Tuesday nights. Check out our boys.
Yep.
Wrestle Fandom Radio every other Wednesday. They do really well. I actually like the show. Not too much.
Great show.
Not too much of a wrestling fan per se, but
you don't need to be entertained by that. And there's something for everybody too on the Disruption Network family of shows. Check it all out on disruptionnetwork.net.
Absolutely.
And, all the platforms. There's a whole bunch of places to get this content. So there is no excuse to, hey, how do I watch your show? There are a whole bunch of places, and you can start right at disruptionnetwork.net. And, of course, on the Disruption Network Facebook page, you'll find links to all the website content and all the goodies, as they say.
So we're going to do one more segment here, and then we're going to get into I'll run down quickly what our predictions were, and then we'll give our 7th inning stretch. We're going to go give our awards, and then we're going to get out of here. So our last segment to do before we do that, we're going to get into the field report.
0.0.
And that was the field report.
No change in Johnny Fields' WAR. It's still at 0.0.
And that's...
You're out!
No, I'm not throwing him out. Johnny, I love you.
Nah, he's our buddy.
I love you. You're our boy. You're our boy. You're not out. But 0.0. And that was the field report. Quickly, your NL MVP coming into the season, you had Nolan Arenado. Can't argue with that pick. He's going to get some votes. Probably not going to be the NL MVP, though. The AL MVP, you had Lindor. Again, MVP type season. Probably going to get some votes. Not going to be the AL MVP. NL Rookie of the Year, AL Rookie of the Year, you had Ronald Acuna Jr. You hit on that one.
I got one right.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to win that. Willie Calhoun for the AL Rookie of the Year. I don't know if Willie Calhoun's going to win it.
No, I don't think
NL Cy Young,
you might
went,
be eligible next year.
We both went chalk on the NL Cy Young and the AL Cy Young, but NL Cy Young, you had Clayton Kershaw. AL Cy Young, you had Chris Sale. Chris Sale's going to garner some votes in that AL Cy Young race. NL Manager of the Year, Dave Martinez, and AL Manager of the Year, Tito Francona. My picks were NL MVP, Paul Goldschmidt. Again, going to get some votes, not going to win it. Jose Ramirez in the AL, again, MVP quality season. He tapered off at the end, cooled off a little bit in September, but still another great season for the hamster. Walker Buehler was my NL Rookie of the Year, probably going to finish second or third. Michael Kopech, 2 starts that weren't shortened by rain. And then TJ, some Rookie of the Year. Max Scherzer, I went with NL Cy Young, and Sale, I took Sale too. Craig Counsell, NL Manager of the Year. So we both got one. And Mike Scioscia. So long, don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out, Mike Scioscia.
You must be so relieved right now. Can you imagine the relief?
Yeah, absolutely, I can imagine.
Mike Scioscia, he must feel like he's on cloud 9 walking away from that mess of elbow ligament problems like every single pitcher has for the Angels. He deserves a little time off and kind of what Joe Girardi's doing this season and come back in a year or so if he wants to continue managing and maybe have his choice of jobs, not his pick from every job, but he might be a sought after guy if he declares that he wants to be a candidate for some of these jobs in a couple of years.
Hey, big shout out to Scotty. What's up, Scotty? Thanks for tuning into the Baseline, buddy. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into the 7th inning stretch here, man.
It's time for the 7th inning stretch.
All right, the 7th inning stretch, where normally Sean and I would give some 7 lists. We've done movies, we've done managers, we've done position players, we've done uniforms, done all sorts of things, nicknames. But this week, we're going to give out our postseason awards. So we're going to give NL Manager of the Year, AL Manager of the Year, and right on down the line.
Should we just start with the big one? Want to just start with MVP?
Let's start with MVP.
Start with MVP, and I'm going to start over with my NL MVP winner, which I think he really cemented it in the last weeks of the season.
So we both got Christian Yelich.
Christian Yelich of bicycle fame with the 2 cycles within a month.
Bicycle.
Just short of a triple crown, just 2 home runs back, 1 RBI
he almost
back.
Nipped it out the last couple days.
He ended up getting that extra game, too. And before the naysayers say, like, oh, he would have played an extra game, he missed some time in the middle of the season, too. So it's not like that would have put him at 163 games played for the season. Came up just short, but what a season. 36 home runs, 110 RBIs, 22 stolen bases, an OPS of 1,000. Great season. And I had a feeling he was going to take this major step forward coming out of Miami and go into a hitter's park like Milwaukee, but I didn't see 36 home runs and 110 RBIs coming for sure.
But I'll tell you what, you did, because I listened to Beck today, and you were pretty high on it the day that they signed him. You were pretty high on it, and you said that he had the potential to hit all of the numbers that he hit this year. So don't sell yourself short on that. You were high on Christian Yelich.
Yeah, and he helped me win a fantasy baseball championship.
Dave chiming in with Yelich and bets. I think that we can just save everybody some time on the ones that we got the same. I got Christian Yelich in the NL. You got Christian
Yelich and Betts are,
and I got
obvious.
Betts in the AL.
Yeah, all the respect for what JD Martinez did with the bat this season.
Yeah, I think I think it's even more interesting to talk about who finishes 2nd through 4th.
And Lindor.
Yep.
Some of these guys just had incredible seasons, but Mookie Betts is the obvious winner.
Agreed.
In the American League.
Agreed. Let's go Rookie of the Year.
Ooh, Rookie of the Year.
In the NL.
Are you going to get all fired up again?
No. Nope. We're just running down this quick. No getting fired up here. No Shohei Ohtani. Gonna get me fired up today because it's Yankee Day. Anyway. Obviously, I got Miguel Andujar in the AL, and I'm gonna go with Ronald Acuna Jr. in the NL. Although Walker Buehler, I will say, not because I made that pick, Walker Buehler almost pitched himself into it in the last couple weeks.
Walker Buehler had an excellent season.
And
he was
specifically
clutch
August
down the
into
stretch.
September.
And the future is bright for Walker Buehler.
Passing of the torch.
The potential is sky high for that kid. So he may not be winning Rookie of the Year this year.
He's got the secondary pitches that are all plus.
But he is he's a future ace. He really is.
He's not. I don't consider him a future. He's close right now.
Close now, yeah.
Agreed.
But he's the type of guy you could almost see taking that. And you know what? I don't want to spoil one of my other picks, but I guess I've been already kind of a little vocal about it anyway. But you can almost see Walker Buehler next year taking that Blake Snell type step. Where he becomes a bona fide workhorse. Maybe he's another year away from that if they want to be careful with innings. But what a great young pitcher he is, and he's on my honorable mention list as well. I've got Acuna winning it. Became a key bat in the middle of that Atlanta lineup, especially when he came back from his injury. And he had some scares this year with some unfortunate incidents happening with people throwing at his head and things like that. And screw you, Keith Hernandez. Acuna with 26 home runs, 917 OPS, and that's in only 433 at bats. So 64 RBIs, 16 stolen bases. Somebody who is already a star as well. And I've got to throw out an honorable mention for Juan Soto as well.
Absolutely,
doing what he did as a 19-year-old.
Soto, Buehler, Acuna. he's going to win it, I think.
The plate discipline of Juan Soto is incredible, especially when you consider he's a teenager. It's just ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it before. And I believe he passed Ken Griffey for most home runs as a teenager, and just became an everyday star in that lineup already at the age of 19. And we'll see. With Bryce Harper potentially out of there, it could be the Juan Soto era has begun in Washington. So great rookies in the NL. I got Miguel Andujar in the AL. And, of course, I don't want to discount anything Shohei Ohtani has done, but
I do.
I know you do. I don't want to discount what he has done. 22 home runs, 925 OPS. But what Andujar has done
for an entire season
since April and straight through when the Yankees needed somebody like him the most, 27 home runs, just a phenomenal season, 92 RBIs, and ended up being a middle of the bat guy for them when Judge and Sanchez and a bunch of these other guys got hurt. So many good young players in baseball, lots to be excited about between your Andujars, your Ohtanis, your Acuñas, your Sotos, your Walker Buehlers, even your Willie Calhouns, maybe. But
Willie Calhoun?
We'll see.
That sounds like one of the names.
He's got a good name. I'll give that to him.
Well, that sounds like one of the names that they're reading off in the diner in Major League. I don't know who the fuck these guys are. They're still shitty. Yeah. Willie Calhoun? This guy here is dead.
Poor Willie Calhoun.
Oh, Willie. Willie! I love you, Willie.
So that brings us to
what do we got?
Pitcher of the Year, which most people call the Cy Young Award, but I don't call it that. I call it the Charles Oldhoss Radburn Award.
As it should.
The Oldhoss Twitter is awesome.
Name it after Denton.
Yeah, he's been whoever is running that account has been going off lately. And it's been pretty funny.
Did you see the other day? I think you sent it to me. Somebody went to Oldhoss Radborn's grave and left him a beer.
Yep.
But they left him an orange shandy of some sort. And that was quite the funny retort about. You can imagine a man with the legacy of Oldhoss Radborn being handed a shandy. Probably wouldn't go over too well.
He's been dead for 120 years, but he's still bitter about the award not being named after him. So I'll call it the Charles Radborn Award.
One thing that Oldhoss Radborn could have had back then, and he probably wouldn't be so upset about getting left, that's a Utica Club. I'd like to thank Utica Club and the fine folks over at Saranac for also being a sponsor of Disruption Network and the Baseline.
I bet you Oldhoss had a Utica Club or two in his day. I'm sure he had a Genesee. Spent some time in Rochester.
First beer served in the United States after Prohibition.
Utica Club.
Always say UC for me.
And thank you, Saranac, for everything you do.
So where are we at?
The Oldhoss Award.
The Oldhoss Award.
Some call it the Cy Young.
It's pretty cut and dry, I think, for both of us.
So they both have double-digit wins.
I just like the fact that we're kind of probably going to give the award to the same guy all the way down. So that's cool.
It's pretty close.
That's cool. AL, I'll go with Blake Snell.
Blake Snell.
All right.
21 wins, 1.89 ERA, a whip under 1, 221 strikeouts and 180 innings. Another guy he's 25 years old and just turned into one of the best pitchers in baseball. The pedigree has always been there with Blake Snell. He had some control problems and some issues with walking batters in his first year and a half of being at the top level. But yeah, the pedigree was always there. He was always one of the top prospects in baseball, and that potential came to fruition this season. And he's my AL Cy Young.
Me too. I like it. That's a good pick. Honorable mention, Chris Sale, Corey Kluber.
Yeah.
Honorable mention to those guys. Good seasons, but not quite what Blake Snell did, especially down the stretch. So Blake Snell, I think we're both in agreement there. I know we're both in agreement in the end.
Oh, yeah.
Jacob deGrom,
Poor Jacob deGrom.
You can't have a season like that.
Give him some hardware. Recognize that season.
Cannot
officially.
have a season like that. Did you see the Medi thing that the Mets did?
Which one?
Did you see the Jacob deGrom video?
I don't think I did. No,
You didn't see the wins don't matter video?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Dave checking in AL Cy Young Bauer for a mention. Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
Definitely deserves a mention.
Hold on, we got to cue this up here.
So wins don't matter to the Mets.
They
is that what you're saying?
They made a political campaign video. Okay, just like a candidate would for an office. It's so many.
So kind of like what people do for the All-Star break sometimes. Maybe not a full-blown video, but teams and players campaigning for each other on social media and stuff. But wins don't matter, huh?
No. You ready?
Well, you know what? In this case, I agree with them.
I do. It's just such a Medi thing to campaign.
It is, yeah.
I don't know. All right.
You got it queued up?
I do.
Some people try to scare you with the idea that wins matter.
Win the game. I don't care what the ERA is.
But what do wins matter when Jacob deGrom's ERA is this much lower than Max Scherzer's?
He's probably the best pitcher in baseball, and the best pitcher in baseball deserves to win the Cy Young.
But what do wins matter when Jacob deGrom's ERA is
So
this much
many.
lower than Aaron Nola's?
Look at all his stats and the numbers, everything that he can control. He definitely deserves a Cy Young.
In a world where wins matter, this system is rigged for the one percenters with good luck and run support. This system is rigged for those who are born into pitching stress-free innings with a lead. This system is rigged and threatens our future. Remember, our children are watching.
Certainly another frustrating day for deGrom. No matter what he does, he winds up with either a loss or a no decision.
Give them back their future.
I'm Jacob deGrom, and wait, what is this for?
Paid for by friends of Jacob deGrom for National League Cy Young.
You guys are ridiculous.
That is the most Mediest thing that has happened all season, perhaps. They made a campaign video for Jacob deGrom to win the Cy Young. A campaign video? Really? So, yeah, I mean, it's safe to say that Jacob deGrom is my Cy Young pick, your Cy Young.
So you weren't kidding. It was actually like a campaign video. I thought you meant it was just like, Cy Young campaign.
Oh, no.
So it was like a
comparing him.
A political advertisement, basically.
Yeah. Comparing him to, Max Scherzer's ERA. It was like comparing candidates' voting record.
Well, I hope he wins it. He deserves something to show for this season for sure.
So Jacob deGrom, the Old Hoss Award in the NL. In the AL, we both had Blake Snell.
Who's your AL manager of the year?
AL manager of the year. I think we're probably going to be different here.
That's why I wanted to bring it up. I know our lists have been very similar thus far, but I think this is one where we might have a differing.
Well, I'll just tell you. I'll tell you based on this. 70. What was it? 77 wins. Vegas had him slotted at. This team finished 13 wins above it. They would have led. What? They would have led at least one division in baseball. I'm going to go Kevin Cash from Tampa Bay. Instituted the opener, did so much with so little, and that team waved the flag. That team waved the flag in March. They waved it. So I'm going to go with Kevin Cash. And I know you're going to go with Bob Melvin.
Yeah. And so, I'm not going to argue with Kevin Cash either because they're both excellent choices. But for me, Bob Melvin is the AL manager of the year. And seeing what he did to win 97 games in Oakland with that starting rotation is just unreal. And I mentioned Chris Davis, and you've got Matt Olson there, and you've got some other good bats, but there's not a lot of household names on that lineup. And that's not to say that they're not very good players, but what he does with what he is given, especially in the starting pitching department,
outstanding
work by Bob Melvin, and it would be much deserved for Kevin Cash or Bob Melvin. Either way, you can't go wrong with either choice. But I've got Bob Melvin, AL Manager of the Year.
I love it. I'm going to go with Cash, but I love it. It's good.
And a shout out to Alex Cora, of course, too.
Melvin and Cash should be a definite close 1-2, says Dave, and he'd be fine with either. I totally agree. I would be fine with either. I'm just leaning towards Cash. Did a lot with absolutely nothing there. And now when you look at that team, I don't see absolutely nothing. I see some players that are maybe give residual value. And they went and got out, they get Tommy Pham, they get rid of some contract weight.
Yeah, they get rid of Johnny Field, and all of a sudden they become a very competitive team. How about that?
Absolutely. And then, the Minnesota Twins get Johnny Field, and they drop from a playoff team to a not playoff team. So, the Field report. Moving on, what do we got? NL Manager of the Year. I'm going to stick with my win, I think. I think that's one that I hit the nail on the head. I think Craig Counsell's going to win it, and I'm going to go with Craig Counsell.
Craig Counsell's a great choice.
But you could go with you're probably going to go with the Braves manager.
I am. My choice is Brian Snitker of the Braves.
Great.
Ended up leading them to a 90-win season after most people, including us, thought that they would be definitely toward the bottom of that division. I think fourth place is where most people saw them, just ahead of the Marlins. Somebody who was considered to possibly be on the hot seat at the beginning of the season, too. And I think it says a lot for him with all of the young talent there. You have a lot of veterans in Milwaukee, and this is not to take away from the job Counsell did, because, again, just like with the AL, I think these guys are 1A and 1B, and you could go either way. But Milwaukee's got a lot of veterans there. Whereas Atlanta, they have your Nick Markakis and your Freddie Freeman, but the majority of the players on that roster are very young, inexperienced players. And to be able to help mold them and get the performance that he got out of some of these kids, I'm sure there's a lot of raw talent there, and it's not just Snitker, but it's tough to manage a team, I'm sure, of a lot of young players that are just becoming Major League Baseball players. And what he did to win the division, props to Brian Snitker. I think he's the NL Manager of the Year. I
would be fine with either one of those as well. I'm going to stick with Craig Counsell. They won that division. Yeah,
best record in the NL.
Best record in the NL. So I'll stick with Counsell, but I got no problem with Snitker at all. And, one more kind of honorable mention, and I know that he's not going to garner many votes in the NL, but actually two. Big shout out to Jim Riggleman for what he was able to do with the Cincinnati team that he inherited that was just abysmal. He kind of turned it around and righted the ship for a little while. They did finish under where I thought they would and where Vegas thought they would. They did finish and have a pretty awful season, but he righted the ship there a little bit. So big shout out to Jim Riggleman and Mike Schilte.
Mike Schilt, St. Louis, and they did extend him too. They gave him a contract extension. He's not their interim manager. He is their new permanent manager.
And he deserved it. And that takes a spot away for Joe Girardi. So Joe Girardi to Cincinnati, I think that's a good move. I think it's a good move for both of them. And one more award to give out, I believe, is the our Rolaids Relief Award.
Yeah, it's pretty easy in the AL with Edwin Diaz on for much of the season record pace. Yeah, and there's a lot of great relievers there, but you can't pick anybody but Edwin Diaz. And I know who you're going to say, and I'll let you bring him up because he needs to be mentioned. And again, it's kind of a 1A, 1B thing, but Edwin Diaz with Seattle, with the negative run differential and everything else that we've mentioned that comes along with that proves how those close games were being locked down by Edwin Diaz and really keeping them in the race, despite the opponents scoring more runs than them, but being several games above 500. Edwin Diaz chasing the saves record, didn't quite get there. Kind of
just what he did in one-run games.
Slowed down there at the end because the Mariners started struggling a little bit, so the save opportunities weren't as plentiful in September and the later part of August. But 57 saves, a WHIP of 7.91, an ERA of 1.96. But yeah, I'll let you bring up your guy because he deserves a mention too.
I'm not discounting certainly anything that Diaz did. Like we said, his record in one-run games was disgusting. And you look at how many one-run games Seattle played in, how many games they won. He played a huge part in their season. So I would, if I was voting and I was voting with a conscience, and I was really going to do who was supposed to win that award, I would vote for Diaz. But playing devil's advocate here, I just want to throw these out a little bit here. 80.1 innings pitched, 38 saves, 7 earned runs. 7. Good for a .78 ERA. 100 strikeouts in 80 innings pitched. 2 home runs all season. 9 wins out of the bullpen. Blake Trinan from Oakland. He would be 2 in any list of relievers. He's going to be the number 2 guy that I picked this year.
Yeah, and last week I had him on my 3-up.
.834.
My 3-up players of players that were picked up for next to nothing in fantasy baseball and ended up
46
huge
hits,
difference makers.
21 walks. 46 hits, 21 walks this year versus 100 strikeouts in 80 innings. .834 whip. So Blake Trinan. I'll give him the award because this isn't the real voting, and so you're going with Diaz. I'm going to go with Blake Trinan because he deserves something for that season that he just put up. Blake Trinan. Honorable mention to no one. They all suck this year. All of them. The closer Blues this year.
And Kimbrel was good.
Speaking of the Electric Company Fantasy League, big props to Shockers. My co-host with the co-most here, SPG, taking it on home.
Man, that was an absolute ridiculous battle right down to the last day.
Right down to the last. It was
back and forth for like the last week or so. Great season too. I know you ended up not getting in the top 3 placement, but you had a great season too. You're just outside that in 4th place, and I think Dave was right behind you in 5th. And great season. It was fun, and looking forward to next year for sure. We'll probably do the draft right here down at the studio again, I'm guessing. But we'll talk about that come spring training time.
Yeah. So that's it. That's our postseason awards.
We got one more NL relief pitcher of the year.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
NL relief pitcher of the year.
Go ahead, because I know that we're. It's really not even close if you think about it. You're not even going with a closer.
It's not a regular closer. It's somebody who got 12 saves, and it's somebody, to be clear, we have still thrown out of the baseline. He is not inside the baseline, but he does get my award for NL relief pitcher of the year, and that's Josh Hader for the ridiculous numbers he put up this season. A whip of 0.811. Let's see, ERA of 2.43, but most impressive, pitched 81 in a third innings. He struck out 143 batters in 81 in a third. I mean, there's starting pitchers that probably went 180 innings that didn't strike out that many. There's starting pitchers that went 100 more innings, I guarantee.
Oh, without question.
And didn't strike out that many batters.
Without question.
And he only walked 30 guys in 80-plus innings, too. So, yeah, not inside the baseline. So, relief pitcher of the year
You're out
award,
of the baseline!
Certainly not to be confused with being brought back inside the baseline. But what a season he had.
I'll give it to Hader, too, because that's just his stats were insane. So, that's it. Postseason awards, all good to go. Bringing us to our last part. Part you don't want to be in. SPG is going to talk to you about out of the baseline this week.
So Addison Russell is out of the baseline, and he's had this controversy hanging over his head for a considerable amount of time. The Cubs were eliminated yesterday, and he was officially suspended for 40 games, and he will not appeal the suspension. So he's not appealing his 40-game suspension. Violated the Major League Baseball joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy. The suspension is retroactive to September 21st, so he's missed a few games already towards his 40, but he'll be missing a good chunk of the first part of the season in 2019, and there's no place for that. And we could go on and on and on for a long time about how disgusted we are about that, and not just him, but when you hear these other stories that happen across not just sports but across life, it's disgusting, and he is out of the baseline, and I will never allow him back inside the baseline no matter what happens. He is permanently banned from being inside the baseline.
You're out of the baseline.
Addison Russell.
You're out.
Gone, buddy. SPG says you're gone. I believe that also gives you a lifetime ban from the Shockers, does it not?
Oh, yeah. It's
a lifetime ban from
He's
the
not
Shockers.
welcome.
So you will never be on the winning team in the Electric Company Fantasy Baseball team. All right? Because no matter who drafts you, they ain't going to win. And SPG is going to win, and he ain't going to draft you. So
I get lucky.
Addison Russell
on my side.
Out of the baseline. Who else? Is there anybody else out? Chris Davis,
yeah, that's a good
Cyrus Davis.
You're out. You're out of the baseline.
You're gone, buddy.
I'll throw
the worst season statistically in the history of the game. Old Hoss Radborn says this fucking regards.
I'll throw Jason Worth out. He had some little incident, I guess, that happened. I don't know the details of it, so I don't want to speak to it too much. But yeah, Google Jason Worth, and I guess he got caught up in a little incident with the police. I guess it was several months ago, and it's just kind of now.
You're out of the baseline.
It's just now coming to light. Got pulled over and had some choice words for some officers. So Jason Worth is out of the baseline. That's all I got.
All right. That's it.
How about this one? Javi Baez for hugging Nolan Arenado.
What is that? What is
You're
that?
out of the baseline.
That's a very minor one. Just barely out of the baseline.
The funny thing is Arenado was caught by the moment, and he smiled and kind of hugged back, but you know Javi Baez.
You know Javi
On purpose.
knew what he was doing. Javi
He did
knew
it
what
on
was doing.
purpose.
And you know what? I don't blame him. It was very clever.
So what is this, 22? This is episode 22 here?
Episode 22, yeah.
Deuce, episode 22. DisruptionNetwork.net if you want to go back and listen to this one or any other of the 22 podcasts that we have put up. Also, Ease Beats and Bizz Home Free with Adeline Van Dyke. EC Radio. EC Radio today had the drummer from Jane's Addiction.
Yeah, Stephen Perkins.
So, a lot of good stuff going on here in Utica, New York. Disruption Network. We want to thank everybody for sticking around. Now it's basically Let's Go Yankees, right?
Yeah, a couple more things to mention too. We already did mention, but are very important to us is Connor's Way, the walk in memory of Connor Linsky on October the 13th. Begins at 10 in the morning. Check out connorsway.com for all the info. Search Connor's Way on Facebook. Hit me up. Get a hold of me. Ask any questions. I'll be happy to answer them for you, and I hope you can come down and support the cause on that morning on October 13th. And then that night, Trip Fest 2 at the JCC. I will be down there as well. Lots of great music, great food, great people. Going to be a lot of laughs, a lot of cool memorabilia, and some of Captain Tripp's treasures to check out and sort through. Don't miss that one, too. So October 13th, a big day. And we're going to have a lot of fun.
And also, as always, quick shout-out to Nye Volkswagen in Rome. That's Nye VW. Stop into the showroom at 5865 Taberg Road in Rome and see why all of their customers say they love their Nye VW.
Check out Nye VW. All right, I think that is it for us. Let's go watch some baseball, JP. We got the Yankees and the Oakland A's about ready to kick it off here with first pitch in about 20 minutes. We'll see what happens. Do or die tonight. Win or lose. Great season. And props to the Oakland A's for a great season. Hope it ends tonight. But all the respect to Bob Melvin and his crew.
Let's go Yanks.
Go Yanks.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next week on the Baseline. Let's go Yanks.
We're out.
So you just bought your dream home, and now it's time to move. Let's face it, nobody likes to move. All the packing, unpacking, lifting, upstairs, downstairs, and broking everything, including your back. Let the professionals at EJA Moving Company take all the stress and pain out of your move. Competitively priced moving, relocation services, office moves, and complete packing and unpacking services. They work with everybody to make it simple and easy for you to move and relocate. Call EJA Moving Company at 315-335-0516. When it's time to relocate, have EJA Moving do all the work for you. Hit them up online, ejamoving.com.
Hey, Disruption Network. This is Mike Sacco, the general manager at Nye Volkswagen of Rome. If you don't know me by name, it's only because you have not received the best deal. There's only one reason to leave Utica, and that's to come see me in Rome and get the best deal on your next new, pre-owned, or certified VW. Mention that you heard this ad from Disruption Network and receive $250 off your next vehicle purchase. You'll know why our customers say, I love my Nye VW. Come see us at 5865 Rome Taberg Road in Rome, or visit us online at nyvwofrome.com.
Join us Saturday, October 13th as Disruption Network and Doughboy Barbecue presents Trip Fest 2 at the Jewish Community Center, 2310 Oneida Street in Utica. A night to pay homage to Vinny, Captain Trip Moriel. Utica icon, yo! Come pick through all of Captain Trip's personal treasures, local artist display, food from Doughboy Barbecue, beer, wine, and live music. Bands include, after a 24-year hiatus, the return of Taurus, Kate Devin, The Crazy Fools, Thunderwatt, and a 315 All-Star tribute to the Grateful Dead. Tickets are $10 in advance and $15 at the door. Partial proceeds to benefit Laney's Army. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Taurus kicks it all off at 6:30. It's Trip Fest 2, Saturday, October 13th. Trip Fest 2 is sponsored by Nye Volkswagen of Rome, 92.7 FM The Drive, Priceless Inspection, Donato Appraisal Services, Dr. Scott Domenico, and Saranac Brewery.
The Property Sisters of the Mohawk Valley was born when three top producing agents with over 25 years of combined experience selling real estate joined forces to take real estate to the next level. We practice with honesty, integrity, and the knowledge to help make the buying and selling process easy and stress-free for all of our clients. We pledge to always make our clients our top priority from start to finish and even after the house is closed. We will always be a valued resource for information and assistance for our buyers and sellers. Our customers over the years have become not only past clients, but great friends. As we join hands together as the Property Sisters of the Mohawk Valley, we look forward to serving our clients and our community and making a positive difference. You can reach us at 315-601-9630 for all of your real estate needs.